The front squat is a great hip and knee dominant exercise which has great application to sport. In running, jumping, skipping, or lateral movements, there are a large amount of knee and hip movement. In a second, we're going to look at the lateral aspect of this movement, but before, let's go over 3 components that we want to make sure that we focus on and think about before any movement occurs. First, what is the bar placement? The elbows are held high, which keeps the bar flat across the front delts. Second, what's the appropriate stance? As an underlying theme of this whole course, it depends. The stance should be individualized based on the flexibility of the athlete and the segment lengths, so the torso, femur, etc. For example, someone with a short trunk and long legs will typically have a wider stance. Lastly, range of motion. The depth of the movement will depend on the range of motion of the hip, knee, and ankle. I should note that the mobility of the elbow and the shoulder joints are important as well, as they help keep the elbows up and the bar across the deltoids. These factors are what help you, the coach, optimize movement for your specific athlete's sport and physical capabilities. Let's now look at the lateral aspect and the movement, where we will talk about the angle of the back, forces, and the moment arms. First, before any movement, the athlete should shift around to ensure that the weight is evenly distributed over the entire foot, so not in the heel, not in the toes, but evenly distributed. Next, on the descent, we want to look at the external line of force, so the bar path, which should be between the hip and the foot, and then the ankle and the toes, so mid-foot region. As the athlete starts to initiate movement up, we tend to see a shift in weight back towards the heels, which transfers force production to the hips. In this case, the athlete shown does not exhibit this due to the weight of the load and also the strength of the athlete. As the athlete continues to come out of the bottom portion where they hit the quote-unquote sticking point, this is where we'll see the hips shift forward and the knees as well. A common argument we will hear is that the knees should not pass the front of the toes. With most arguments, it depends, and in this case, if the mobility of the hip, knee, and ankle is good, this will not cause injury. In this exercise, where are we seeing the stress? That's going to depend on the knee moment arm and the hip moment arm. In this case, the knee moment arm is the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation of the knee and the hip to the line of force, which is the external load from the barbell. Lastly, what should the back angle look like? The back angle should potentially never change throughout the movement. It should stay rigid throughout and almost upright, because the external line of force should be through the trunk and all erector spinae musculature. In this movement, all the abdominal musculature will be working to keep the upright position as well.